today's show.
We discuss the Rockets blowing another golden opportunity and whether Curry can still carry the KD-less Dubs to a series win.
Who's to blame for Boston's season? Is Kyrie a franchise player? If he leaves, who's better off?
And just hold on, we've got some memes in a brand new edition of The Meme Team.
It's Thursday, May 9th. The starter starts now.
Good evening, sweet world, and welcome to The Starters, presented by Jack Daniel's Old No. 7 and Tennessee Honey. I'm J.E. Skeets, alongside me as always, Tass Mellis. We got the Aussie Lee Ellis, and over yonder, that's the bearded one, that's Trey Kirby.
Hey-o!
Hey-o! Whoa! Premature
Sorry.
hey-o! Premature
I closed my eyes
hey-o!
for a
Whoa.
second.
Whoa.
I was dreaming.
Anyways, I'm here at the internet looking for your best tweets at hashtag the starters. And guys, the Bucks finished off the Celtics last night, and their fans were feeling great, as we found out when Green Bay Packers offensive lineman David Bakhtiari crushed not just one, but wait for it, 2 beers. Let's go! Now, unfortunately, the Green Bay Packers are completely trash, but this is still great. And it brings us to today's question. What is the best fan, food, or drink moment from the NBA? For instance, we saw another great one in that very same Bucks game when some dude was sitting behind Danica Patrick and her friend, insisted on getting her some white wine, also got some for her friend, all the while Danica is sitting right next to her boyfriend, Green Bay Packers quarterback Aaron Rodgers. A very, very strange moment. Again, the Packers are trash, but this was pretty great. Nonetheless, we want to hear from you, so let us know on Twitter what is the best fan, food, or drink moment from the NBA. Send them to us at hashtag the starters. We'll hear from you later.
Try and guess Trey Kirby's favorite NFL team.
Go Bears. It's like the one time ever the Bears are better than the Packers.
All right,
Never
congratulations. All right, on tonight's show, we are going to discuss who's to blame for the Celtics' very disappointing season. We got a new meme team. We got a very solid play, but let's start with a little true or false, talking about that second game last night of the doubleheader, Rockets and Warriors. Trey.
With 2 minutes left in the third quarter, the Rockets had clawed their way back from a 20-point deficit. Kevin Durant had left with a strained calf, and Houston smelled blood. But then James Harden kind of stopped shooting in the fourth quarter, and a broken play somehow ended in a game-clinching layup for Klay Thompson, putting the Warriors up 3-2 in this series. Guys, true or false? The Rockets blew their chance in Game 5.
They didn't take advantage of a golden opportunity. I'm a little reluctant to say blew it because I think the Warriors were going to win this game. They looked at each other and said, this is pre-KD era. Somebody can step up here at home, and they did that. I am surprised, though, with the way this game finished. To set the scene, Kevin Durant goes out, 2 minutes left in the fourth. Harden sits from the 8-minute mark to the 7-minute mark of the fourth quarter, the only minute he sat in the second half. And when he came back those final 7 minutes, he only took one shot, and that shot was basically when the game was pretty much in hand.
Yeah,
he had a layup.
right at the end.
He had a layup with 20 seconds left, up 5. They gave him the lane. Now, I'm not sure if it would have been any different if he shot, because he ran the offense pretty well. They got good shots. They made lots of shots. I'm just surprised that he didn't try and shed the label of a guy who doesn't perform in the postseason by going down shooting when they had this chance. Kevin Durant is out. I'm going to go down firing. His team scored a bunch of points. The Warriors just scored a heck of a lot more, so I'm not even sure that it mattered.
Right.
I'm just surprised. And then you see Chris Paul, the guy that they're both supposed to share the ball handling responsibilities. Somebody was supposed to score points on this team, and he had a very bad game overall. You look at Harden's line, very, very good. I'm just surprised the way he ended his game.
I think it is true.
Yeah.
I think they blew their opportunity maybe in Game 1 and then definitely in Game 5 once KD goes down. After they put up a valiant effort to get back in this game. I mean, they were down 20 when KD was playing. The Rockets were scrambled back. The Warriors were helping them out, throwing the ball literally away. But they got back into this game. It was basically tied when the injury happened to KD. And they blew it. I mean, they couldn't finish it out. They couldn't close it. And that was like a prime opportunity to go back home 3-2 again. But with the roles reversed, instead of losing one of your better players last year in Chris Paul, the Warriors without their guy, we know he's not playing in Game 6, likely not going to play in Game 7 if there is one. So yeah, you've said Chris Paul though, you're absolutely right. Where's the outcry for Chris Paul? When Kyle Lowry has a bad game or two, the world is like falling apart up in Toronto. Oh my God, Kyle Lowry stinks, Kyle Lowry. Where's that for Chris Paul? This guy's paid $35 million. He's 3 of 14 in Game 5. He's been brutal, quite frankly, all series long offensively. I just don't get it. Why aren't we so upset with his game when it's suddenly gone.
I saw him be called State Farm Kyle Lowry on Twitter last night.
Oh, okay.
Right
Did
there.
Cliff
You're
Paul
right
take
there.
his offensive game? I just think it's interesting because when Kyle Lowry struggles as that sort of second guy in the Raptors, everybody goes nuts. But Chris Paul should be getting a lot of some criticism right now because Harden did have a good game. He didn't shoot in the fourth, but they still had good looks. Chris Paul,
it still
3 of 14,
falls on
that
James
doesn't
Harden,
fly.
though, for just not being aggressive enough when he needed to be by just shooting in that fourth quarter. That's really what it comes down to still. This is James Harden still needs that moment in the playoffs where, and this was it presented to him on a platter last night, to go out there, give his team a chance to go home and close this series out at home. Because now, even if they win Game 6, they've got to come back and win a Game 7 in Golden State. And the Warriors now, they know that Durant won't be playing, so they have a little bit of time to at least adjust and have a game plan and get a couple of other guys some minutes. But that was a moment there for the Rockets last night. That game was there for the taking. As other games were, 1 and 2 also in the series were there for the taking. They weren't able to do it. They may not get a better chance to beat the Warriors, and now they have to beat them twice, even though one game is in Houston. And it's just very, very hard to see how they can do that, knowing what this team has been like in the past, where they've had chances and not been able to finish it off.
Undoubtedly, they had a great chance. Kevin Durant goes out. They should be able to take that moment. But the Warriors also felt like they had a moment, right?
Yeah.
They think back, hey, we won a championship without Kevin Durant. This is one quarter of basketball. They scored 32 points in that fourth quarter. The Rockets did a good job of scoring as well with 27 points on their side of the ball.
Yeah.
But the Warriors were pumped. And if this game is in Houston, maybe it's a different outcome. But the entire arena, backed that team to a victory. And those guys, we're watching Clay and we're watching Curry. They were a number 1 and a number 2 on a championship team. So they're pretty comfortable in that role, at least for one quarter. If this is an entire season, yeah, maybe we can have a conversation. But I don't know. That was 2 evenly matched teams, and the home team won. So I'm not really positive that the Rockets just blew it. I'm just surprised with the way James didn't say, hey, screw this reputation, I'm shooting.
Trey, our next one.
It was a bittersweet win for the Warriors last night as Kevin Durant went down with a scary non-contact leg injury that at first looked like a torn Achilles tendon. An MRI today, however, confirmed a mild strain in Durant's right calf. He'll be reevaluated in a week, which means he's likely done for the rest of this series with the Rockets. They're up 3-2, but true or false, the Warriors can win this series without Durant.
That's true still. I mean,
so?
yeah, because one of the, criticisms since Durant's arrived is it's taken Steph out of his game somewhat. The 2-time MVP was before Kevin Durant arrived. And what you saw last night when Durant was out there, Steph actually kind of said, well, it's on me now to really generate so much of the offense, whether it's scoring or getting other guys involved. And Klay Thompson had a breakout game for him, which was great to see for the Warriors. So they definitely have the offensive firepower. They're still a very, very good team with all-star players up and down the roster. It just means now some of those other guys like Jerebko and Kevon Looney, who are going to get a few extra minutes, maybe even Andrew Bogut in there as well. And also they have the psychological advantage over the Rockets. They know that the Rockets had a chance to beat them last year, couldn't do it, and they didn't take advantage of last night's game. And Houston has to do all the heavy lifting from here. They have to go to Houston to win, and then they have to come back to Golden State to win. So I think the Warriors are still in the box seat to win. It should be a very tight last game or two in
every
this
game
series.
has been close.
Of course, but the Warriors, I think they know that even though Durant's out, they still have the firepower to match the Rockets.
And they got box seats.
They got box seats, yeah.
Nice seats.
Yeah.
Nice seats to Game 6. They haven't won on the road in this series. I think that's an advantage for them. They tend to win a game on the road in every single series, 20 straight series. So, yeah, they could go to Game 6 and win. I don't buy this, they're not deep enough argument. I don't buy that whatsoever.
Really?
The Rockets are playing 7 guys.
Right.
They're
not rolling out
very,
10 guys
very
as it
shallow.
is. Yeah.
They're playing Austin Rivers off their bench. He's getting Iman Shumpert off the bench, and Mike D'Antoni doesn't really trust anybody else. You mentioned Jerebko, Kevon Looney, Sean Livingston. Alfonso McKinney's getting minutes.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of guys who can get minutes off the bench. I don't buy that. I think it's a really even match now. It just feels like you got 2 stars versus 2 stars and a bunch of guys who can fill in. But the Warriors have that championship experience. Yeah, I think they have the mental advantage, not just because of Game 5, but also because of Game 1. As you mentioned, the Rockets should have won that one too.
No one is going to really cry here for the Warriors fans and the Warriors losing KD. I'm happy KD is not seriously injured and is going to miss, maybe a year or whatever, months through his offseason. It sounds like he could be back. If they advance here, he could be back this postseason. But no one's going to cry for the Warriors because the Warriors have gotten lucky a lot of times over their run here, this dynasty run. 2015, no Kevin Love, then Kyrie goes down. Mm-hmm. Kawhi Leonard in 2017 in the conference finals, Zaza slides underneath. Suddenly that best player on the Spurs is out. 2018, Chris Paul. We can talk about it till we're blue in the face about whether the Rockets would have won if Chris Paul played. So now the tables are turned here. The Rockets should be, though, embarrassed if they don't win this series. I think they should be. It's here now. It's here. There is no KD, and you have Chris Paul. There's no excuses, basically. So you got to go win. You got to take care of business at home. If they lose in Game 6,
Well, that,
oh,
yeah,
then
of
it's
course, yeah.
then it's very embarrassing. Yeah, literally over. Different on Game 7 on the road, I get that, but they still should win the series. They should. They have the MVP in Harden,
But they're
and a
down
healthier
3-2.
squad.
You know, maths doesn't favour them right now. Statistically, the Warriors should win it from here, especially when you have Game 7 at home. But I agree with what you're saying. They won't get a better chance.
They're never going to get a better chance.
No.
That's what I'm getting at, I guess. Let's hear from you guys, though. Let us know on Twitter, #TheStarters when we come back. Bucks are headed to the East Finals, but who's to blame for the Celtics' disappointing loss?
The Starters is presented by Jack Daniel's Old No. 7 and Tennessee Honey.
Back with the Starters, time for What You Got. You know how it works. Trey, let's do it.
The Bucks beat the Celtics last night, finishing off the DB sweep and putting Boston fans out of their misery. Because after failing to meet sky-high expectations this season, the Beantown faithful were raging last night, coming for everyone from their star player to their coach to their GM. So guys, who is the most to blame for the Celtics season? Kyrie Irving, Brad Stevens, or Danny Ainge? What you got?
The most.
It's not Danny.
Why
That's
not?
for sure.
Why not?
Well, because he's the GM. He put together a pretty good roster. Is
they
that
were
his job to fix the roster in the
Yes.
locker room?
No, but during the season, we saw some of these issues coming up to the trade deadline.
The Anthony Davis
And
situation.
it was like perhaps that was when he should have done something, you know, because there was a lot of times early on in this season we saw playing really well, then they play bad, there was some locker room chaos. Maybe that's when Danny Ainge should have realised, you know what, I have to make a move here, we have to do something, because if this does spill over to the playoffs like it did, then we're in trouble. This is not a championship caliber team. So I think Danny Ainge deserves some blame,
Some
for
part
sure.
of it.
Brad Stevens, the coach, you've got all these talent. That's what coaches all want. They all want all-star talent player, and the Celtics have that. He wasn't able to really meld all that together at times. So there's a lot of
What
blame
about
to
Kyrie?
go.
Keep going.
Of course. I mean, Kyrie is the star
So it's
player.
all equal.
You know? I mean, Kyrie's earning the most money there, or maybe he's not earning with Gordon and Al Horford there, but he's earning a huge contract. He's a free agent. He came in and said...
He wanted
"Listen,"
this.
Exactly. He wanted this, and at times he was brilliant for them. He won games by himself for them, but at other times he did bring some baggage into that locker room, and nobody, I believe, from that front office went to Kyrie and said, okay, we understand your position, but you have to be a better leader on the floor. You have to do more things. So I'd say all three of them get it.
Oh, okay. What do you got there?
Nobody went from the locker room to tell him to be a better leader? That's what you're saying?
What the front office went in and told
Yeah.
him that? Well, we don't know, but he
okay.
didn't. He seemed to be inconsistent with what he was doing this year at
Big
times.
time.
Yeah, at
Oh,
times.
he deserves a good amount of blame.
Yeah.
I would not blame Danny Ainge in that this team went to the Eastern Conference Finals last year. They get the star back in Kyrie and a Gordon Hayward that's healthy, and they just try and make it work. And it's up to the guys in the locker room to make it work. And Kyrie, I don't think, was the best leader from day one. He had a bad year. He said a lot of bad things to the media. He called out his young players. He just didn't have a good year overall off the floor. I don't think the other guys dislike him. I'm reading the body language on this bench. A lot of guys hugged him. There was plenty of daps out there for him. But not everyone bought in as much as they did last year.
Yeah.
So that's definitely on Kyrie. It's definitely on Brad Stevens. I would probably go 50-50. But then you got to squeeze in those young guys, too. They didn't buy in. And so
But
shouldn't
Danny
it be
Ainge
on
has
them
put
as
this
well?
roster together, though. I mean, this is Danny Ainge's roster.
But it looked good last year.
Yeah, I know. But so why did it take a step back then this year?
Well, because
He's saying because maybe poor leadership from both your star player and your coach.
Well, the young guys also, no one's talking about them, but there are a lot of inflated egos there.
Yeah.
Thinking that we are, the number 1, 2, 2, and 3 option in Jalen, Jason Tatum, and Terry Rozier. And those guys didn't perform.
Yeah.
Like they should have.
To me, in a locker room with a team, there are three sort of types of leaderships. It's usually your star player, your best player. That's Kyrie. We all agree with that. Then there's sort of like the heart and soul type of guy as a leader. Your Draymonds, your Udonis Haslams, maybe in this sort of role like a Marcus Smart. That the identity of a team. And then it's the coach. So I don't think it really was the heart and soul factor here. I think it was the star player, Kyrie, and I think it was Brad Stevens. He couldn't get everybody on the same page. They couldn't. Now, it must have been difficult. I get it.
Yeah.
A lot of these young guys are like, well, we just went to the conference finals without you. And all you're doing is talking a bunch of stuff. You're not really backing it up. That's the other part. Kyrie didn't back up any of this talk. He kept telling us all season long, none of this matters. All you guys get up here and you talk about all this quote I said and us struggling, losing four straight. It doesn't matter. Wait till the playoffs. No one can beat us in a best of 7. Well, then
The
he didn't
first
back it
5
up.
games
He was
did.
garbage.
The first 5 games, he was great.
Yeah, it was classic Celtics. It
Yeah.
was. It really was.
Yeah.
It was the ebbs and flows, the ups and downs of their season. But yeah, when they got hit with a little adversity, then they just sort of all caved. I mean, you watched the game last night.
Yeah,
it was over early. It was over early. There was no fight. I thought there was like Jalen Brown was fighting, Marcus Morris was sort of fighting.
Listen,
That
Al
was it.
Horford got attacked last night. You saw how.
Okay, and he's fired.
He was angry. But again, I mean, leadership starts at the top, though, for me.
Yeah.
So I think Danny Ainge had
But Lee,
all
people
this
thought
talent.
some people thought the Celtics were going to win 65 games.
Yeah.
So people must have been looking at the team, going, "That's a pretty good team.
Yeah.
That's a stacked team." They
But
went
the signs
far
were
and
there
they
early,
had
though.
more
That's what
talent.
I'm saying. The signs were there
So
early.
you wanted
that
him to shake it up?
Yeah, he had an opportunity to maybe move some pieces around. I mean, they tried to bring Gordon Hayward off the bench. It worked to a degree. But when you have all that talent, I mean, that's the sort of roster that a lot of teams would love to have. So you've got to try to make it work somehow. And it's a combination of factors. I mean, but it's leadership starting at the top and then filtering all the way down through.
Very disappointing season. Trey, what's the answer?
I kind of think all 3 guys get a little portion of it, but only one of them is actually playing the game. Sorry, Kyrie. But speaking of Kyrie Irving, this was his first year as a #1 guy in the playoffs, and after a season of up and downs, the postseason is pretty much the exact same as the regular season. 5 straight wins followed by 4 straight losses and a handful of eyebrow-raising comments in press conferences. People have been questioning Kyrie's spot atop the food chain. So guys, is Kyrie Irving a franchise player or nah? What you got?
Maybe in his next spot, in his next stop in the NBA. Maybe he'll understand how to be a leader. Maybe he won't toot his horn as much, and maybe he won't badmouth his guys on his roster as much. So maybe. But not this. Obviously, he wasn't this year. He didn't live up to that. So that phone call he made to LeBron midseason where he said, this is hard. Maybe he realized that just a little bit too late, and maybe he'll realize that in 1920 when he's playing somewhere else. But I highly doubt it's going to happen in Boston.
He's an all-star, all-NBA caliber player in his prime. I mean, the Celtics just going to let that walk? Or do they say, okay, listen, we know he brings a bit of baggage, but he's a great player. He can win games by himself. I mean, there might be some other guys who leave as well, like Al Horford can opt out of his contract. I mean, do you want to just let that go for free? Or do you want to say, you know what, let's buy in, give him a big contract, and then if it doesn't work, we can trade him because he's still young enough? That's, I think, the question Danny Ainge is facing
Let me ask
right
you
now.
very,
He
very
might
quickly.
leave on his own, though.
No, he could, of course, yeah.
Do you think Larry Bird was a franchise player?
A little, yeah,
Okay.
you could say that.
Do you think Kevin McHale was a franchise
Yes.
player? You do?
Yes.
Okay, you think Michael Jordan was a franchise player? Yes.
Probably not.
Do you
Probably
think
not. Not in Washington.
Do you think Scottie Pippen was a franchise
course.
player? Here's what I'm getting at. You can be a franchise player. I think Kyrie is.
Well, those are all Hall of Famers.
But he needs to be with someone else. Well, exactly. He needs a co-star. He can't be the top billing in a movie. He can't do it. I really don't think he can. He needs that second guy, especially maybe from the leadership sort of perspective. And let me sort of control the narrative of our team moving forward. You worry about basketball, and you're really good at that. But I think he is. But I'm with you. I don't think it's going to be in Boston moving forward. I really don't. Trey, what's the answer?
Kyrie Irving is definitely a franchise player, and he has been top billed before. It's called Uncle Drew, and it's a very good movie.
No comment.
Very good.
No comment on that one. All right, when we come back, we got a brand new edition of the Meme Team. Don't go anywhere. Every week we scour the internet to bring you the Meme Team, our favorite weird and wacky moments from the NBA universe.
At number 5, it's overtime. Game 3, time ticking down. Steph Curry trying to make it a 1-point game.
Get up!
Oh, and it reminded Yahoo Sports of the classic, white men can't jump.
One of us definitely not going home tonight. Ah! Man, you were almost there. Almost there. I know what the problem is. Come on. Get out the way, man. Yo, man, I'm just trying to help, man. Ah, me!
At number 4, the Bucks took care of the Celtics on Wednesday night, eliminating them in 5 games. It was a work of art. That beatdown, Giannis, screen painting, perfect. Remember, the Celtics were confident that they could beat anybody in 7 games, so the Bucks asked, should we just keep playing? Wow, tweet of the week material right there.
Yeah.
Kyrie, where's he gonna go this offseason? Whoa, where did he go right now? Crazy.
That is incredible.
Maybe he's packing those bags and leaving like this scene from Silicon Valley.
Zips. Goodbye. Obviously, I don't care to make a big deal out of it, so I think it's sufficient just to go around and each of you say a memory or two of times where I've profoundly impacted your life. It doesn't have to be a profound impact.
We're leaving now.
At number 3, Joel Embiid, well, he loves celebrating, as he did in Game 3 after that windmill. Pulls out the airplane. But he has been sick in Game number 5. He struggled with that sickness on the basketball floor, and the Toronto crowd, well, they got him back when he checked out of that game. Even Drake on the sideline here.
A lot of germs on an airplane.
And the Score app gave him the crying Jordan treatment.
Wow. Score getting a lot of play in this meme team. At number 2, Draymond Green scratched Harden's eyes in Game 2. It's such big news that Adam Sandler's Opera Man addressed it on SNL.
Hey, dear man, he cried, Draymond, forgive me now.
What year is it? But it was just an accident, right? No way it happens again. Oh, wrong. Next game, Game 3, poked again. As you can see, the eye was looking pretty gnarly. At least that's what Chris Paul thought up on the podium.
Considering how they still look, were your eyes affecting you or bothering you at all tonight?
What do you mean how they look? You look crazy.
Rockets leaning into it, though. Tweeting out this, see red. It's the playoff.
Good thing they wear red.
At number 1, Nikola Jokic's most cagey opponent this offseason, the post-game microphone stand.
Thank you, guys. Someone broke it.
But last game, someone eliminated that problem for him. You're freewheeling now, Nikola.
Look at you, like a lasso.
Yeah, thank you, whoever did this.
When we come back, Lily's very solid play. There's Joel Embiid, looking healthy, looking ready to go here in Game 6, trying to keep the Sixers season alive as the Raptors try and close it out on the road. Game 6 there tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern on
How you feeling?
Feeling very confident, Lee. Thanks for asking. Nuggets-Blazers the second game as the Nuggets try and close out the Blazers on the road. All right, very solid play.
Yeah, I mean, how could the Celtics really compete when the Bucks were playing these netball plays last night? Look at this, just beautiful execution. Ends with Eric Bledsoe for a swish bomb. That's what I call a very solid netball and mini passport play.
Very solid. We got to talk about the Bucks on tomorrow's Drop Podcast. It was all about the Celtics on tonight's show. We'll talk about the Bucks and what surprised us most with their dominant run so far, going 8-1 in the postseason. We'll get into the Sixers Raps, the Nuggets Blazers. I'm sure we'll talk about Lou and the Lakers so much, so keep your eyes and ears open for the Starters Drop Podcast, and then we'll see you tomorrow night right here at 6:30.
And you should stay tuned right here. NBA Game Time Live coming up.
Brace the night, people.